doing the impossible. And I did it quite a few times. Probably sending my son's Buzz Lightyear to space, convincing NASA to take an 18-inch plastic doll up to space for 18 months. But actually then, because how do you top sending Buzz Lightyear into space? I thought, I'm going to bring him home. So I phoned the director of communications at NASA. I said, when are you bringing Buzz back? And there was total silence on the other end of the phone. He said, and I said, well, no man left behind, Ray. He said, you've got to be kidding. That was never part of the contract. I said, well, what do you do with the stuff that you take into space? And he said, well, we don't bring it all back. I was like, what? He said, we open the hatch and just push it out. I said, you can't kill Buzz. I said, if you kill Buzz Lightyear, I'll leak it to the world's press that NASA killed Buzz Lightyear. NASA agreed to bring Buzz home. That was my biggest success. We were all born creative. Remember when you were a child and you got the big toy for Christmas, it came in a huge box, but you played with the box, right? You used to ask why, and why again. Children are seeking the real truth. So when we look for insights for innovation, if you stop at the first why, because when we go to school, we get a job, and they tell us there's only one right answer, so you stop asking the second why. But the insight for innovation comes on the fourth of, if you ask somebody why do they go to Disney, they'll tell you they go for the rides. That tells you to build new attractions. That's very expensive. But if you pause for a moment and act childlike, not childish, and say, why do you go for the rides? Well, I like Small World. Well, why do you like Small World? I used to go with my mum. Why is that important to you? I take my daughter now. What that person has just told you on the fourth why is it's got nothing to do with new capital investment strategy and everything to do with her memory and nostalgia. That's a communication campaign. So being curious. Intuition. It's a remarkably powerful tool. You have 100 billion neurons here, you have 100 million here, but the decisions you as a consumer make every day, what clothes you wear, what meal you eat, where you go on holiday, what theme park you go to, those decisions are all made here, and I think sometimes we make, or try to make decisions up here, where actually here could be, empathy is huge, and the last one is imagination. You're born with it, but we still have it because we had the weird dream last night that we didn't want to tell anybody about. In the next decade, the four traits that you were born with, creativity, imagination, curiosity, and intuition, I believe will become the most employable skill sets of the next decade, simply because they can't be programmed into artificial intelligence. It happens to me all the time. I think it's one of the things that I would advise people to do is agree the success criteria at the beginning, in the middle, and before you present your ideas, because otherwise your boss asks for the pink idea, you work on the pink idea for 6 weeks, you go in to present this amazing pink idea, and your boss says, well, actually I was thinking blue. You're like, whoa. But very important to agree the success criteria all the way through. But there's one of the, so Virgin has this amazing model. They have 4 or 5 success criteria. One is this a strategic brand fit? The other one is it relevant to consumers? The problem with ideas are they're very subjective, right? You like t-shirts with lions and hats. I like black shirts. Our boss likes pink shirts. Guess what? We're doing the pink shirt. Is that the right idea for the consumer? Maybe not. But ideas are so subjective. So there's a tool I've created that takes all the subjectivity off the table by asking, is this relevant to our consumer? Not what do we think is the best idea? So the biggest barrier to innovation is time to think. We don't give ourselves time to think. But when you ask people, where are you and what are you doing when you get your best ideas, you're going to hear shower, running, jogging, bathroom, every toilet. But you never hear somebody say, at work. If you ask them to picture a verbal argument and then ask them what happened 5 minutes after the argument was over, you're relaxed, suddenly you come up with the killer one-liner. Or you step in the shower, you get a big idea. Why? You gave yourself time to think. And you open the door between your conscious and subconscious. Our subconscious brain is 87% of our brain. So we're only working with 13% during the day. But the moment you stepped into the shower or went for a walk, this big idea comes to you. So how do you do that on demand? Well, we could bring showers to the offices, but that would be messy. I run what I call an energizer. It's a fun activity designed to last 1 to 2 minutes. All I'm listening for is laughter. The moment I hear laughter, I know I've metaphorically placed you back in the shower, where the door between your conscious and subconscious brain is just open wide enough that you can still make informed decisions, but have big ideas. How to put innovation into anybody. We tried 4 models of innovation at Disney. The first model we tried was I hired a company called IDEO, who are considered the gurus of innovation, because I didn't know what I was doing. And I said, make me look good, model number 1. Model number 2 is you can create an innovation team. They can act as a catalyst for change, but the message you send to the rest of the organization is, you don't have to innovate, because we have an innovation team. Model 3, we tried an accelerator program where you bring young startups in who are very passionate about a piece of technology they've created, but they don't know how to scale it. Well, we knew how to scale it. But when we asked ourselves, had any of those models changed our culture, the answer was no. People learn by doing, they don't learn by listening. So all I did was create an innovation toolkit that makes innovation easy, creativity tangible, and the process fun. Companies hate the word fun because they think it doesn't imply business results. All the C-suite right now is, you must innovate, we must take risks, you must think differently, we must disrupt. And all of their employees are sitting there going, how? Show me how. And all I did was create a toolkit that is easy, tangible, and fun. Fred and Sally may have worked for you for a year or 20 years. There is no incentive for them to use this toolkit when you're not around. Culture changes if Fred and Sally do something you want when you're not around. So create an innovation toolkit, a tangible toolkit that makes it easy, tangible, and fun. So did Walt steal the idea from Disneyland? I went to Efteling in the Netherlands 3 days ago. That was created in 1952. Well, Disneyland wasn't born until 1955. I walked through Efteling yesterday, or 2 days ago. There's a lot of similarities. Tivoli Gardens in Copenhagen. Borrow with pride. I think innovation comes from people talking together, seeing things and iterating from. I wouldn't say he stole them. I would say that you see things. Look, when you say, so Samsung looked at Apple and said, hey, let's do touchscreen technology. Did they steal it? No, because they did it legally. I just think it's when you get inspiration from, the best form of inspiration is looking outside your industry. So here's stealing, but genius stealing. The US Olympic Association went to Speedo, the manufacturers of swimsuits, in 1996 and said, make our swimmers go faster through water. So Speedo looked outside their industry and said, who in the world has already solved the challenge of moving quickly through water? Motorboats, speedboats, dolphins, sharks. They did biomimicry on a bullnose shark skin. It has hundreds of thousands of pimples, which can contain microscopic air pockets, which it can expand as it chooses to increase its surface friction against the water and slow down or turn as the swim, or it could force every single air pocket out when it wants to move like a bullet. Speedo created the shark suit. They stole it from, if you like, or borrowed with pride. They created, I think it was 14 world records in the Sydney Olympic Games. You remember the suit that went from here to here that the US Olympic team won? It was considered too innovative, too much of a competitive advantage. I think, I wouldn't use the word stealing, but I would encourage people when they're looking to innovate, look outside of your industry for innovation. Yeah, so I'll play it back a slightly different way. I think most of us, the challenge for most of us in terms of innovation is we all have quarterly results to meet, which demand that we meet our financial goals for the next 90 days. Can you, in fact, innovate and look at the future and hit those quarterly results? And I think you'll see a lot of companies challenge that in the next couple of years, challenge the model of Wall Street, challenge the model, can we do both? And I think you'll see some companies start to buy themselves back from Wall Street and allow themselves to innovate. It's a design thinking process. It starts with the consumer first. What's the biggest challenge the consumer faces? And then it's about creating a series of tools that challenge us. The problem for all of us is the more expertise and the more experience we get, the more we think one way. The challenge is to get you to stop thinking this way and to start thinking that way. So one of the tools I use is called What If? You list all the rules of your challenge, you pick one and say, what if that rule no longer existed? So Walt with Fantasia, they said you can't have rain inside the theatre or heat. So he said, well, what if I could control the environment? That wasn't the more provocative your question. He said, well, what if I take my movies out of the theatre? Well, he didn't know how to do it at the time, but so as a result of that, he came up with the idea of Disneyland. But if you think about now, instead of saying how might we make more money and putting the theme park ticket price up, we said how do we solve the biggest consumer pain point? We know that's standing in line. So we created something called Disney's Magic Band. It is your room key to your hotel. It's your theme park ticket. It has reservations for character meet and greets, reservations. You can pay for food with it. You pay for merchandise with it. If we'd said how might we make more money, we'd have put the gate price up and made 3%. But because we said how might we solve the biggest consumer pain point and challenge the rules of the industry, the average guest has about 90 or 120 minutes today. That has resulted in record revenues on food and beverage and merchandise and record data capture. Millions of people every single day are now live crowdsourcing the future design of a Disney theme park.